So let's try this decimal division problem. So what are we doing here? We start with 57 and divide it by 11. Make sure this is a whole number, no decimals. If it is a whole number, we can proceed with the division. So we're doing whole number division here. 11 goes 0 times into 5. 11 times 0 is 0. Subtract to get a 5. Bring the next number down. So that's a 57. 11 fives are 55. Subtract and you get a remainder of 2. If we were doing a whole number division or changing an improper fraction to a mixed number, we would stop right here. But what we want to do is decimal division. We've run out of digits now. So that's now time to put a decimal point here. The minute you put a decimal point here, put a decimal point there. Now once the decimal point is in place, you can add any number of zeros after the decimal point at the end. So 11 ones are 11. Subtract. You get a 9 as a remainder. Bring the next 0 down. That's 8. 11 eights are 88. And you have a remainder of 2, just like you had a remainder of 2 here. Bring another 0 down. This might look familiar. 11 goes 1 times into 20. Subtract and you get a 9. Do you see how your process is repetitive now? Bring the next 0 down. 11 eights are 88. And then the process continues forever because this is what you're going to get. 5.181818 and it keeps going on and on. So that's 5. Here it's not one number recurring, it's 2 numbers recurring. So it would be 18 with a bar on top. So this tells me that it's a recurring decimal. Now let's see how we can deal with this sort of division. Remember, the first thing we always check is if the divisor is a whole number. That's the first thing we ask ourselves. Is it a whole number? And the answer is no. So what we'll do is try to change it to a whole number without changing the meaning of the fraction. So this would become a whole number in the denominator if I shifted the decimal point 2 places to the right. That's my thought. But how do I do it? I have to multiply 0.03 with 100 to make this happen. There are 2 zeros in the 100. So the rule says shift to the right by 2 place values. But whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do the exact same thing to the numerator, because you don't want to change the meaning of the fraction. So the denominator has 3 because we've shifted 1, 2 decimal place values to the right because we multiplied with 100. We are doing the exact same thing to the numerator. 5.4 multiplied by 100. 100 has 2 zeros. So we shift the decimal point 2 place values to the right to get 540 divided by 3. And why were we doing all this? Because remember, we noticed that the quotient was not a whole number. And unless it's a whole number, we cannot do long division. So we are going to convert it to a whole number by multiplying it with the right power of 10. Whatever you do to the denominator, you repeat the same process in the numerator. So that would be 540, and then 3 is the divisor. 3 goes once into 3, leaving a remainder of 2. Bring the 4 down. 3 eighths are 24. Subtract, you get a 0. Bring the next 0 down. 3 goes 0 times into 0. And basically what we have is 540 divided by 3 is 180. And we knew it's divisible by 3 because 5 plus 4 is 9. Again, we are doing decimal division. But what is it that we have to always be careful about? The divisor, you're dividing by 0.06. The divisor has to be a whole number. How do I make this a whole number? By shifting the decimal point one place value to the right, which is the same as saying multiply by 10. Whatever we do to the new denominator, we have to do the exact same thing to the numerator. So that would be 700 divided by 6. Because the 0, there's only 1 in 10, and it'll shift the decimal point one place value to the right. So we take the 700 and divide by 6. Step by step. The first digit, 6 times 1 is 6. Bring the 0 down. 6 times 1 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Bring the next 0 down. 6 goes 6 are 36. And 6 sevens are 42, which is too big. So 6 sixes are 36 is the best. 10 minus 6 is a 4. Because we borrowed a 1, that becomes a 3. So your remainder is a 4. But if we are doing decimal division, we put a decimal dot and we continue adding zeros at the end, which is after the decimal point. 6 sixes are 36. Again, you see the recurring number. So 6 goes again 6 times into 40, leaving a remainder of 4, and you can see the pattern here. 116.6666. The first time you see the recurring number after the decimal point, put a bar over it. So if you take 700 and divide by 6, it'll be 116.66, and it keeps going on and on. If you have to round it, it'll be 116. Let's say 67, because the next number is a 6 and we add 1 when we round it to that place value.